Hello everyone, welcome back to Medical Cebu. In today's video, I'll be teaching you about the humerus. So as we have discussed earlier, the humerus is the bone of the appendicular skeleton of the human body present in the region of upper limb. So starting off, the humerus can be divided into three regions, that is the upper end, the shaft of the humerus and the lower end. On the upper end of the humerus, we have the head of the humerus, which articulates with the glenoid cavity of the scapula, which we have discussed in the video of the scapula. The link is given above. Now, from the coracoid process of the scapula to the head of the humerus, we have the presence of the coracohumeral ligament, which is highlighted in yellow. Also, we have one more ligament, that is transverse humeral ligament, present between the greater tubercle and the lesser tubercle, beneath which passes the tendon of biceps brachii. Now let us discuss each part of the humerus in much more detail. I have presented a mind map and a diagram so we can understand the theoretical as well as the diagrammatical part of the humerus. On the upper end of the humerus, we can encounter these following structures, that are the head. The anatomical neck separates the head of the humerus from the other parts of the upper end. Also, an important point regarding the anatomical neck is that it is the thickest portion of the humerus. So there are very few chances that a fracture may occur at this site. Next, what we have is the surgical neck, which separates the upper end of the humerus from the shaft of the humerus. It is this region where the axillary nerve enters the posterior compartment of the arm and supplies the regimental batch area. The morphological neck lies 0.5 cm superior to the surgical neck of the humerus. It is important since it marks the sign of fusion of hyaline cartilage. Apart from these structures, we have the tubercles, that is the lesser tubercle and the greater tubercle. The lesser tubercle is present anteriorly, here represented as LT, and we have the greater tubercle marked by GT, which is present laterally. Between the greater tubercle and the lesser tubercle lies the intertubercular sulcus, or also known as the bicipital groove, through which runs the tendon of biceps brachii. And as we have discussed earlier, the transverse humeral ligament joins the greater tubercle and the lesser tubercle. Now let us move towards the shaft of the humerus. In the shaft of the humerus, we have three borders and three surfaces. In this diagram, we have the white dotted line representing the anterior border of the humerus, the blue line representing the medial border, and the yellow line representing the lateral border. The region present between the anterior and the medial border is the anteromedial surface. The region present between the anterior and the lateral surface is the anterolateral surface, and the region present between the medial and the lateral surface is the posterior surface, which can be seen on the posterior view of humerus. It represents the posterior surface of the humerus. Regarding the anterior border extends from the greater tubercle to the line between the radial and the coronoid fossa. That is, we can see here we have the radial fossa and the coronoid fossa, in between which lies the anterior border, and superiorly it starts from the greater tubercle, which is lying laterally. Next, what we have is the lateral border. The lateral border is interrupted by the deltoid tuberosity formed on the anterolateral surface, which we have discussed, formed by the anterior border as well as the lateral border. On the lower end, the lateral border will form the lateral supracondylar ridge, which is an insertion point for the lateral intermuscular septum. Since we have the lateral supracondylar ridge, we also have the lateral supracondylar crest, which lies medial to the lateral supracondylar ridge. Next, we will discuss about the medial border of the humerus. On the upper end, it forms the medial lip of the intertubercular sulcus, and it will form the medial border of the humerus. On the lower end, similar to the lateral border, it will form medial supracondylar ridge. Next, we will discuss about the surfaces of the humerus. So, regarding the anterolateral surface and the anteromedial surface, we will discuss in the part of the muscular attachment of the humerus. And regarding the posterior surface of the humerus, we have a spiral groove, which allows the passage of the radial nerve along with the profunda brachii artery, which is a branch of the brachial artery. Now, let us discuss the lower end of the humerus. The lower end of the humerus can be divided into two regions, that is the articulating region and the non-articulating region. The articulating region consists of the capitulum and the trochlea. The capitulum is present laterally, whereas the trochlea is present medially. Apart from it, we have the non-articular regions that are the medial supracondylar ridge, the coronoid fossa, and the medial epicondyle. Laterally, we have the lateral supracondylar ridge, the radial fossa, and the lateral epicondyle. On the posterior surface of the humerus, we have the presence of the olecranon fossa, which articulates with the olecranon process of the ulna. Posteriorly, we can take a look at the medial epicondyle and the lateral epicondyle. Now let us take a look at the muscular attachments of the humerus. Here I have two images, one which represents the anterior surface of the humerus and the next which represents the posterior surface of the humerus. Before starting off, I want to mention that the blue color are used for the insertion of the muscles, whereas the red color is used for the origin of the muscles. We have the subscapularis muscle which inserts on the lesser tubercle. On the greater tubercle, we can see the insertion of the supraspinatus muscle. For the crest of the greater tubercle, we have the insertion of pectoralis major muscle, whereas on the crest of the lesser tubercle is the insertion of the teres major muscle, and in between them lies the insertion for the latissimus dorsi muscle. So we can write that on the lateral lip, or we can also say the crest of greater tubercle, there is an insertion of pectoralis major muscle. On the medial lip, or also referred to as the crest of lesser tubercle, there is an insertion of teres major muscle, and within the intertubercular sulcus, also referred as the bicipital groove, lies the insertion of the latissimus dorsi muscle. Moving downwards on the anterolateral surface of the shaft of the humerus, we have the insertion of the deltoid muscle, which also leaves a prominent deltoid tuberosity. And on the anteromedial surface, we have the insertion of coracobrachialis muscle, which originates from the coracoid process of the scapula. Next, we have the brachialis muscle, which takes its origin from the lower part of the shaft of the humerus. Here we also have the origin for the brachioradialis muscle, the extensor carpi radialis longus muscle, and other extensor muscles from the region of lateral epicondyle. On the medial aspect of the lower end of the humerus, we have origination from the humeral head of the pronator teres muscle and the common flexor muscles. Next, on the posterior aspect of the humerus, we have the insertion of the supraspinatus, the infraspinatus, and the teres minor muscle. All the four muscles, that is, the subscapularis, the infraspinatus, the teres minor, and the supraspinatus, are together known as the rotator cuff muscles, for which we have the mnemonic SITS. Similarly, for the greater tubercle, the lesser tubercle, and the intertubercular sulcus, we have the mnemonic the lady between the two majors, where the lady stands for the latissimus dorsi muscle, between two majors stands for the teres major and the pectoralis major muscle. Here you can also remember that in case of pectoralis, there is presence of letter L, which would help you to remember that it inserts on the lateral lip and not on the medial lip. Now let us move towards the other muscles originating and inserting on the posterior aspect. Now we have the lateral head of the triceps brachii muscle, insertion of the deltoid muscle, few fibers of brachialis originating from the posterior side, and a large portion of medial head of triceps originating from the posterior surface of the humerus. Also, we have the origination of the anconeus muscle. From the medial epicondyle, we have the origination of the flexor compartment muscle, and from the lateral epicondyle, we have the origination of the extensor compartment muscles. Thank you for watching the video. I hope that you like the video. If you want such mind maps and such anatomical sketches, do follow us on Instagram. Thank you.